Good morning, Ryan. Hope you're doing well this morning, and glad you're tuning in. It means you got my email this morning about um, a new lesson that we're going to work on today. But first, let me just say I hope you had a great weekend, and I hope you had an awesome Mother's Day. Um, I hope you took care of your mom this weekend and did something nice for her. I'm sure you did, but I can't wait to hear all about that. Um, Kind of a cold weekend out there, I think, right? So the weather was pretty cold, even some snow on Sunday. So hopefully, probably did more inside things than outside things this weekend. But either way, hope you enjoyed your time off and ready to get back to work. Just a reminder that, as always, you have your schedule of activities to work on, chores and making your grocery list, doing your exercise, making sure you send me your emails, attach, also CC your parents on those emails. Um, Again, you're pretty good. I know you just in talking to you last week in the Zoom and then a little bit afterwards. You're really staying busy with your driving and home chores. Um, you Sounds like you worked well with your parents to create a structured schedule around the house. So if that's, certainly that schedule that you have is important. If there's any, if my schedule can also come in handy in that area, feel free to use that as well. But keep it simple. You don't have to overcomplicate it. Um, keep going with your assignments. I know you've sent me some assignments completed so far, but you still have others that I want to give you credit for if you can get to those this week. But we're gonna move on to a new lesson today on budgeting. I was thinking of you and knowing that you eventually want to live on your own someday. Whether it's by yourself or maybe with a roommate. It's going to be important that you know how to budget and how to stick to a budget. And we did a little bit of work on this in Links before we left school. We talked about budgeting, we talked about income, the amount of money that you take in each month. Obviously, we want that number to be higher than the expenses you have, the bills that you have. We broke down the bills, right? If you remember, we talked about fixed bills, fixed expenses versus variable expenses. Fixed expense would be like your rent or your mortgage. That's a set number that doesn't change each month. Your cable bill might be a set bill each month. But something like your grocery bill or the gas bill for your car, those are variable expenses. Those are going to be bills that might change from month to month based on how much you spend and how much you use that particular service or resource. But together, all of your expenses, you add those up, and hopefully that number is lower than the amount of money that you're taking in your monthly income. Whether that's from working or from any kind of money you're taking in from any agencies like SSI or things like that. So that money hopefully will be higher than your expenses, and then you can you can not only have a budget, but you can make budget. You can be successful in your budget and have a little extra money maybe in your pocket or be able to put some in your savings account. So we're going to work a little bit today. As you can see in the email, I sent you 2 attachments, and those attachments are basically they're going to be it's a story about a couple of people who are in a situation where they're creating a budget and trying to manage their budget. So I'm going to read it to you. So if you have it there with you, make sure you take it out. You can follow along. If not, it's not a big deal. You can take it, print it out, or look at it later. But there are some questions and some activities that you need to complete once we're done with this video. But I'm going to read it together. I'll read it now with you so that you can follow along. So it says, Amy and Jason were getting married in 5 months. They were working on a budget that they could live on after they were married. They were both working and had a monthly income of $1,650. After the wedding, Jason would start his second year in training. His training program cost $6,000 a year. He already owed $6,000 on the first year. The local community college had some training programs for only $700 per year, but Jason didn't think that it was that good. Amy was working full-time in a bank. She had $600 in her savings account. Amy still owed $350 on a credit card. She was also paying her parents $200 for her wedding dress. She drove an older model Toyota. It had great gas mileage and the insurance was only $80 per month. Jason had a beautiful truck with payments of $350 a month and a $110 per month insurance bill. It would cost him about $80 a month in gas to get back and forth to work. They would like to get their apartment near the Auto Technology Training Center where Jason was training. The apartments were within walking distance of the bank. Amy would not need to drive every day. They really wanted a 2-bedroom rental for $650. The 1-bedroom apartments were $500 a month, but were very small. Their budget included the following items. So their rent for a 2-bedroom was $650. Their utilities were $130. His truck was $350. Insurance on both cars was $190. Amy's credit card was $75. Jason's school loan was $90. Amy's wedding dress was $50. Groceries and eating out came to $300 a month, and gas and oil for both cars was $140. Their total expenses were $1,975. So then you see at the bottom there's 2 questions. First one says, what is the difference in their monthly income and their amount in their budget? So that's something that you'd have to figure out. And then in the second question, it says, name 3 ways that they could reduce their monthly budget. So 3 ways that they could reduce their monthly budget. So you're going to have to look at those bills that they have and see if there's any place that you think they could trim their budget and write down those areas in those 3 spots. Okay? Part 2 of the activity, page 2, says Amy and Jason knew their monthly income was $1,650 and it was not going to change. It was going to stay the same. They would not be getting any raises for at least 6 months. Amy and Jason talked about the training program that cost $6,000 a year. The community college training program was only $700 per year, but Jason was set on going to the private training program, so they decided to keep that in the budget. Jason asked Amy if she would pay off her credit card and her wedding dress with her $600 savings. Then they could start saving again and build up the account. This cut their monthly expenses by $125. They talked about Jason's truck payments for $350 a month and $110 per month for insurance. It would cost him about $80 a month for gas to get back and forth to work. If he sold the truck, they could save $540 a month and he could drive Amy's car for a while. Jason loved his truck and wanted to think about it. They knew they could save $150 if they took a 1-bedroom apartment. When looking at their food expenses, they thought of a way to save $75 a month. They would only go out to eat once a week for burgers and pizza. They also would like to save at least $100 per month. They knew they needed to save at least $50 a month for emergencies. Their second budget included the following items. So now what you can see there on your worksheet is a chart with all of their expenses, their first budget and what they spent, and now their second budget and what they spent. So you can see if you go down and just go left to right and compare the first budget to the second budget, you get down to the 5th item, Amy's credit card. She had a $75 a month payment, now it's at 0, so they're saving money there. And then 2 more lines down, Amy's parent loan went from 50 to 0. So they saved money there. and then they trimmed $75 off their grocery bill and eating out, but they added $100 to their savings account. So each month they're going to save $100 to replenish their savings. The overall amount now for their second budget is $1,875. So if you look at their overall budget in the first column, it's $1,975. It went down to $1,875. So they figured out a way to trim $100. But as you can see, they still have more work to do. So the first question is, what is the difference in their monthly income and the amount in their second budget? So you're going to take their $1,650 and compare it to that $1,875 and come up with a number there. And then finally, and this is going to be your challenge, big challenge, make a third budget that will fit their monthly income by helping Jason and Amy make different decisions about how they will spend their money. So based on all the information you have from the story, the things they want, the things they like, their preferences, you're going to create a third budget with numbers. And as you can see, they've already plugged in $50 for their emergency account money, but you're going to fill in the rest. And your goal is to try and get that total number to $1,650. Okay? So you might have to play with that a little bit. I would suggest using a pencil, since you might have to erase and not write it in pen. I certainly look forward to seeing your work. You can take a picture of your work and send it to me. But again, Ryan, this is a great activity for you as you look, in talking to you on Friday, it sounds like you're moving closer to a decision about maybe leaving Lynx and not coming back in September, going to school more at BCC. But eventually I know you want to live on your own or live with a roommate at some point, and creating a budget and sticking to a budget is going to be really important. And this is a great activity for you to kind of learn more about how to do that and how to make tough decisions. Some of the decisions that have to be made here are not easy because everything in their budget are things that they probably want and in some ways need, but they got to figure out ways to trim those numbers. So they may have to give up something that they really want and make a sacrifice. And that has a lot to do with making a budget, is sacrifice, because you can't always have what you want. We're not, most people don't have millions and millions of dollars in their accounts where they can do what they want. So they have to create these kind of budgets to help them live. So I was looking at your goals, and this activity fits perfectly with your self-determination goal, right? Setting goals, making effective decisions. That's exactly what this is, right? Self-determination, knowing what's important to you, what's not important to you, what are your needs and your wants, how to make good decisions about your life in terms of a budget. So that's goal number 1. And then goal number 3, developing effective consumer skills. Okay, so money skills. Creating a budget, a big component of that is not just needs and wants, but the money attached to it. And so this is a money skills activity where you have to come up with a number that works for you and your situation of living. And so your expenses have to be factored in, your income has to be factored in, you have to do comparison of the numbers. So it's all about financial understanding and your money skills ability. And so these two goals, really, this activity fits perfectly into those two goals. So I wish you the best of luck on this activity. Like I said, rate in line with the things that you're going to be doing as you get older and more independent in life. Hopefully you take this and do this assignment, send me the results, and I look forward to seeing it and hearing from you. All right, Ryan, have a great day. Bye-bye.